Hey there, Borley Borlstein, and I saw Underwater. Okay, there's too much water in there for me to actually get myself underneath it, but that was the lamest visual joke ever. Anyway, Underwater is pretty much a vehicle to get Kirsten, what's her name? Kristen Stewart? The girl from Twilight. It's a vehicle to get the girl from Twilight in as many ass shots and like micro sports bra with suspender shots as possible where she like grabs her like necklace, but like to the audience it looks like she's like grabbing her chest or her boobs. And I don't think they, I mean, obviously the necklace is some kind of memento or something, and it has some kind of significance, as we'll find out in the film. But I watched the film and I don't fucking remember what the significance was, so maybe that's on me. I did step out to go to the bathroom at one point, and maybe that's when the movie explained anything or had any kind of interesting shit happen. So the movie's a middle of the road, boring as shit. 3 out of 10. The acting is really strange because some characters are taking the movie seriously, and then you have other characters like TJ Miller who's like just trying to like make a mockery of the movie almost. Like he doesn't seem like he's like an irrelevant or an irreverent jokester. He comes off as somebody who's honestly making fun of the movie. It's very strange. And another huge aspect of the film that just torpedoes it to being shit is that the sound design is fucking awful. And for like, there's one good scene in the movie, and that's where there's no sound other than just like the touching, the haptic, I think, like the haptic feedback, like they touch things and you kind of hear it like some ASMR video. That part of the movie was good, but everything else, the sound was so fucking loud. People are screaming and you can't even hear what they're saying, and they're saying important things. Like compare this to Uncut Gems. Uncut Gems, really discordant voices, lots of shit going on, but you can always pick out the necessary lines that you need to hear to understand the plot. This movie, you can't pick out shit. It's fucking all over the place. Like if you have sensitive hearing like I do, good fucking luck. You're fucking lost. You're screwed. So yeah, that's the review. I'm just gonna go through the plot now because I think that'll be fun. So we start off in the film, and Kristen Stewart is in the locker room and she's getting undressed or redressed or something. She's got some kind of pajama pant looking thing on, kind of like some sweatpants. And then she's got this like very strangely designed suspenders micro sports bra that she wears throughout the whole film. And she's got her hair cut real short and she's looking real pixie-esque. And she's over the sink and there's like a little daddy long legs in the sink, and she's like, "Oh, what are you doing there? You shouldn't be there." And she's like gonna kill it, but then she like grabs some paper and saves it. And then she's like walking out of the locker room. I think something stupid happens, and just the whole facility just starts exploding. And this is where the camera work goes fucking crazy, because like if you thought the film in the beginning was like, here, like you have like a touching moment with Kristen Stewart, and then it's like, here's her ass, here's her tits, and that's like the whole movie. It's ridiculous. So like the whole facility's blowing up, and we are just zoomed right into her ass running down the hallway. And it, like how everything blows up is like pretty cool. It like looks like a Disney ride, honestly. But the problem is like I'm just looking at Kristen Stewart's ass the whole time because the camera is just shoved in her ass. Or when it's not on her ass, it's on her fucking tits. And I'm just like, what the first 15 minutes, I swear to God, it was just boobs and butt, boobs and butt, boobs and butt constantly. And the film cannot get away from this, and it feels like a lot of ways that they were gonna get as much boobs and butt shots as their PG-13 rating would allow them, and that's really what happens. So Kristen Stewart's running down the hallway of the underground drilling facility, and everything's blowing the fuck up, and she runs into unnamed black character who likes anime. That's all I remember about him. I thought, because I think Kristen Stewart was like had like a black to-be husband that we find out later on, but I thought maybe that was the black guy, but like they weren't really friendly with each other. I don't fucking know. It's really dumb. So either way, they start like they like lock off one of the sections of the underground facility and they kill some people, I guess. And Kristen Stewart, that's kind of her cross to bear, that, you know, like they were trying to run down the hallway, but the whole thing was going to blow. I mean, and if you're a rational person, you're watching it, like there's no way they could have made it. Like they needed to seal the bulkhead or whatever the stupid thing the plot demanded. But it's just something that they kind of like reference later on, is I think like uh one of the characters is like, oh, like you didn't kill them, like it's okay. And it's really weird because like nothing Kristen Stewart does or says or acts makes it seem like she's really sad about the action that she had to take back there, but the character talks to her as if that's the case. So it just like, it was like they wrote the plot, but they forgot to give the actors direction on how to behave in the scenes to make the things that the characters say make any sense. So the black guy and Kristen Stewart got to crawl through some rubble, and then they like run into T.J. Miller, and T.J. Miller is just fucking terrible in this movie. T.J. Miller is somebody who unironically probably should have been canceled forever, because I really hate comedian people whose entire shtick is just to be like irreverent, like, oh wow, you don't give a fuck about anything, you hold nothing in any kind of regard, you have no respect for anything, you're making jokes about everything. And now I believe that you can make jokes about everything, but at the end of the day, you need to have a certain amount of respect for something. Because like if you're just there just like to shit at everything, you're just like a fucking edgy middle schooler or high schooler who, you know, oh, everything is stupid, I don't care about anything. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, when you get in the real world and you actually have to, like, you know, work a job and have bills and stuff, you're gonna start fucking caring about shit. So, like, fuck off, loser. It's an unmerited privilege to get to just not care about anything in life, you know? And I know, obviously, it's all the fucking weed in TJ Miller's fucking dumb stoner brain, probably, that's making him retarded, but I don't give a fuck. That was his choice to make. So, TJ Miller's in this movie, and he's fucking bad. And he has one character quirk, and his character quirk is that he has a rubber bunny. He's got like a rubber bunny thingy that maybe it's like something about a dead daughter. I don't really remember. The moments of character development in this movie are so minuscule that like you will not fucking, if you blink, you'll miss it. And apparently I blinked a little too much and I missed TJ Miller's entire character. So they're crawling through all this rubble, and I thought that part was really good. The film follows a style of shot composition that is incredibly loud and incredibly up close. Like all the shots are like waist high headshots. Like they're just incredibly fucking close. The camera very rarely pulls away from the characters. But I didn't think it really worked for the movie. I felt like there were some scenes where they kind of had to pull back a little bit and kind of just show the characters from a third person position, or show more of the setting, because I thought the setting had a lot of potential, but they didn't really utilize it in any way. So they're crawling through some rubble, and it's very like a caver kind of scenario, and they find a corpse, and that part was like a little weird. But the way they show the corpse was like typical horror movie trash, where it's like cut, loud fucking noise, oh, fuck that shit. But they get past the corpse, and then they meet up with the captain, who is the French guy from Black Swan. And it turns out in this movie he doesn't play a villain, so don't worry, there's no interesting twist to the plot. It's just everything is blowing up, and we don't know why yet. So after some boring conversation about how they need to get to, what did they need to get to? Robotech? They needed to get to Robo something, but none of the characters pronounced it right, and none of the characters ever said what it was. And it wasn't until about 45 minutes after the words were first introduced do we see on the screen like Robo whatever, and you learn out what the facility is, and I'm like, oh, that's where they were going. I thought they were honestly going to a giant fucking like robot to like walk back up to the fucking surface, or I don't know. It's so, that's once again is a problem with the movie, is that you can't understand what the characters are saying, and there's just so much noise. So some stupid shit happens, and then they find themselves in this kind of like elevator that's going to the surface of the earth, I guess, the bottom of the water, because they're in the ocean. And they're going to like walk across to this other facility in their little suits, right? And they're going down there, and they think they see there's like a distress signal in another one of these kind of elevator pods or something. So TJ Miller and the other guy who's not the captain, I think, get out and they're like walking around. And this part of the movie is actually good. The sound all cuts out. There's like no sound. The only things that we hear are what the characters who are outside are experiencing. So it's dead quiet. And this part of the movie, the sound design was actually incredibly great, I thought, because there's nothing going on. There's no more music. It was so jarring because the rest of the movie was so fucking loud, and now it's so quiet. But that would make sense because you're out basically kind of in space. There's not really any sound out there, so they're just like walking around trying to figure shit out. And they see this like weird kind of hazy stuff, and you don't know if it's like the water is so dirty from all the dirt being like torn up from the facility exploding, or if there's some kind of creature out there. And I think what happens is they find a creature, something happens, they find like a baby creature or something, and then basically they have the scene from Alien where they're all looking at it, and then it like has some last dying gas breath, and it scares the audience. But it's not really, they're all the scares in this movie are just boring jump scares. There are no good atmospheric scares, and that's the worst part, is that every scare will be a cut, loud fucking noise, and a spooky, shocking image that will juxtapose the last image that would have been something nice. That's the entire scare factor in this movie, so it's real bad. Now, I do want to jump back before they got in the elevator because I forgot something. There's a part earlier where they're getting into their little like walk around in the water suits, and as I mentioned earlier, the movie really is just a vehicle to get Kristen Stewart in as many like ass and sports bra shots as possible, right? Well, these suits are so skin tight that like nobody can wear clothes in them. So like the girls got to like take their pants off, but they can, like, the one Asian girl can like wear a shirt. But how does that make any sense? Because like the guys, like TJ Miller can fit his fat ass in the suit, and his legs are no doubt thicker than either of the girls, but the girls they can't wear pants. And like, I don't really care, like, whatever. I know, like, I don't care about any kind of sexist aspect to it. What I care about is just how the plot contrivance is just so fucking stupid. And really, I think the only reason that existed is for the one trailer shot later on where Kristen Stewart's in the shower and she's like on her knees, like kind of holding her head or something, or holding her like little locket, but it looks more like she's like, but she always like reaches for it, like she's like about to feel herself up. It's really fucking weird. And she's just like in her fucking sports bra and panties, and it's like, I guess, like, now they do kind of, they don't just have like complete ass shots of her when she's in her underwear. That's not, the movie isn't that skeevy, and that's where the PG-13 rating kind of saves it, I think, because otherwise it would be totally disgusting. So back to the stupid plot. They go down in the elevator some more, and they're walking along the surface finally. And then something happens. The characters talk a little bit. And then the worst part of the movie is that every time the characters are going to get some character development, there's no fear about anything bad happening. Like, it is filmed and shot and edited, and the sound design all make you feel like, oh, nothing bad is going to happen while they're having this like kind of like character development moment. And then that would be a time to scare the audience because they don't have that expectation, but then nothing ever happens. Whenever there's a character moment, nothing interrupts the character moment, which is pretty stupid in a disaster movie, but whatever. So they make it to this other facility on the bottom of the ocean, and then they got to like walk through a tunnel, and then they have to go under the tunnel, so they got to put their helmets back on, and they're all going through, and then the last person to go through is TJ Miller, and he's about to get through, but then one of the aliens like grabs him and takes him back, and then he's like, oh, take my bunny, and he's supposed to like give the bunny, I think he does have a daughter, I think that's when you find out, and he's not just like a lunatic or something, because he's always talking about the stupid bunny. And then TJ Miller like dies or something, so we lose him. Thank fuck for that, because he was pretty terrible. And then we're going along. Oh yeah, there was something about fucking moon pies. I felt like that was like a cream pie joke that the director snuck in there. That was fucking weird. So we're going along, we're back in the surface again. We're outside the facility, and we haven't really seen too much of the monsters yet. And then this is the part of the movie where it's just like, stupid. I think the captain gets like dragged away, and then the one guy goes and grabs him, and then he goes back in to grab the gun, and then he gets grabbed away or something. I don't even know. Either way, what happens is the captain is attached to Kristen Stewart, and he's like being pulled into a vortex at the surface. And the captain's like screaming to Kristen Stewart to like, you gotta let go, you gotta let go. And obviously, this is kind of one of those like allegorical or like metaphorical scenes where it's like she doesn't just have to physically let go of the captain, but she kind of has to let go of like her burdens of like losing her fiance or whatever the hell it is or something, because we find out later on that her fiance died, and then also we find out that the captain's daughter died, so they kind of have this like shared tragedy or whatever. Because like there's this weird part of the movie where they make a point to say that like Kristen Stewart's like, oh, like I would be the same age as your daughter right now, you know. But the captain's like, oh no, she's 14, and Kristen Stewart's like, no, she should be my age, but she died when she was 14, I guess. But Kristen Stewart didn't know that. But it seems weird that like she would say that. It kind of seemed like there was a lot of potential like weirdness to the relationships. I didn't know who was actually in a relationship. I didn't know the Asian girl and then the other white guy who wasn't the captain or TJ Miller were in a relationship. Like that's how bad the movie does a job of like establishing who these characters are and what they mean to each other. Because like when you're in a disaster scenario, you're not going to introduce yourself to somebody. You're kind of just like, oh, you're alive, let's fucking go, you know? So they should have started the movie a little bit further back before the disaster and not like 2 seconds before everything blows up, because it didn't do anything for the characters, that's for fucking sure. So Kristen Stewart lets go of the captain, and it's just the Asian girl, Kristen Stewart, and the one guy, and the Asian girl's constantly having like oxygen problems. And then they get to this one part of the movie that's kind of scary where they see like this like tentacle thing going over this like bridge they have to cross, and there's like seemingly bodies hanging out of it. So it's pretty spooky. And they got to walk through, and they got to like not, try to not wake up the fish monsters that they see. And then of course, in movie fashion, the Asian girl's suit has like, low oxygen, and it's like fucking blaring lights and everything. But that doesn't really seemingly wake up the monsters. They just keep walking. And then Kristen Stewart's like, oh, you go. And then they wake up, and then one of them attacks Kristen Stewart and like basically slams her helmet on the bridge multiple times. And this is the part of the movie that's like really inconsistent, because previously we saw like the helmets seem like they can be damaged pretty easily. And then at this point in the movie, like that guy is just going to fucking town, beating the shit out of her helmet and everything. And it doesn't break at all. And it like basically swallows her whole. And then she like shoots her one gun bullet that she has from fucking Outlaw Star, and the monster like dies, and she like just crawls out of it, even though she was like inside of its stomach. Like you think she wouldn't be able to crawl out that easily, but whatever. And then there's like a bunch of monsters that are looking at her, and it's like, oh fucking, she reloads her gun once, and I think she like shoots it at him, and then she's able to run away. And then as she's running away, like the tentacle thing that we saw over the bridge like lifts up, and then it's like, this is the part of the movie where I'm like, yeah, because earlier in the film, I had this idea for kind of like what the ending could be if it was trying to go some kind of Cthulhu route. Because I had a feeling, you're underwater, your facility is destroyed, and you have fish monsters attacking. It seems like a kind of obvious, like you've woken up some kind of Cthulhu monster, right? So I had this idea that Kristen Stewart would be kind of alone, everybody else would have died, and she sees some kind of like weird edifice built in the wall, like the stone wall, and she's just kind of like walking, trying to find the fucking facility or something that they were gonna escape in, but she gets lost, and she sees this strange, carved thing in the wall, and there's like a doorway or whatever, and she enters into it, and there's like some fishmen, but they just like let her pass, and it's like really unnerving and creepy. And then maybe the film goes in some kind of like Pan's Labyrinth where it's like, oh, welcome home, or she sees like there's like some fucking king deity Cthulhu that like eats her, or just some kind of like strange, we get an introduction to the society that the drilling has disturbed, and we get a sense of kind of the alienness of it and how disturbing and creepy it is. But the film doesn't go that route at all. We do get a face shot of the big Cthulhu monster, which doesn't look so much like Cthulhu. It has like teeth that like go back a long ways, kind of like a long mouth fish. And it looks like Cthulhu. It's got like the beard with tentacles and stuff, and this guy's like huge, and I guess those fish monsters were like coming out of his arm or something. I don't even fucking know, but this guy's like huge as shit, right? And so they get in the facility. They got some more stupid moments. The girls are in their underwear. Then they get to the escape pods, and the two of them are working, and one of them is fucked up. And Kristen Stewart's like, "Oh yeah, we got three working." And they put the one guy in one of them because he's unconscious, and they send him up. And then the girl is like, "Oh no, like I'll go last." And then Kristen Stewart's like, "No," and Kristen Stewart has to punch the Asian girl into the cockpit, and like that was like she's like laughing about it like a moment later, and so like the Asian girl and the guy, they both are escaping, and then this is the part of the movie that's like really stupid, where the Cthulhu monster is like sending his like demon spawn fish people to like go after the escape pods, as if like he would even have, one, have seen them, two, have cared, or three, could have even have fucking caught them, because like when we see the escape pods moving, they're moving, I mean, they're going to the surface and they're like blasting right up there, right? And when we've seen the fish people move in the movie, like they can move short distances really fast, but I don't think they could catch a 60-mile-an-hour moving thing, which is minimum at it seemed how fast those pods were moving. But the movie, takes this wholeheartedly, and what happens is they have a flashback of like, oh, if that energy has nowhere to go, it's gonna explode or whatever, right? So Kristen Stewart like, puts the reactor up to mass, and then she has another monologue or a narration. The movie starts with a horrible narration to Kristen Stewart about being in the darkness, and like you don't know, what day it is, or if it's day or night, or blah blah blah, when you're underground or underwater or whatever the fuck it is. It's really stupid. And then she basically restates the stupid opening monologue narration again, but then she's like, and that's why we gotta light this mother up, and then she like blows up the facility, because like the little robot machine is like estimated explosion zone, and it would like kill all the monsters and kill Cthulhu to like save her two friends. So like she basically commits seppuku to kill Cthulhu and save her two friends. And then as the facility is blowing up, we get this like huge shot of Cthulhu, who does in fact have a torso and has arms, and he's like trying to crawl away, but he blows up and dies. And then all the fish monsters die, and then the ending is just like all these magazine excerpts or newspaper excerpts of like, oh, it was all a cover up and they're going to begin reconstruction real soon and blah blah blah, and the interviews of the two people have been classified and all this stuff. And then that was the movie. It really is just like an hour and 30-minute excuse to make a stupid joke about letting go and then dying, I guess, like really letting go. It doesn't really have anything to do with sacrifice. And then really there's just like that one zinger line at the end where it's like, when you're living in the dark, some whatever, blah blah blah, we gotta light this mother up. And it was just like, yeah, light this mother trucker up, Kristen Stewart. Like that was so fucking corny. But yeah, this movie was the worst thing a movie could ever be, which is just fucking boring. Like nothing cool happened. The sound design was garbage. It wasn't even offensively boring or stupid. It was just boring. That was the worst part. But if you have a Hollywood crush on Kristen Stewart, then I guess this movie is worth seeing, because you get a lot of shots of her butt and her in her sports bra, and she's like grabbing at her boobs and touching herself, and there's like all sorts of like close-up shots of her body and breathing and stuff. So I mean, I guess if you're into that, you should go watch it, but otherwise it's just a straight 3 out of 10. It's only for people that really have a fascination for Kristen Stewart. So yep, that's it.